Why is Patrick Bateman relatable? Now I know, I already hear people typing away. You didn't get the point of the film if you relate to him. I'm here to tell you that is not the case. The story can have a message, a meaning behind it. In this case, it was a satire of Wall Street in the past. But that does not take away from this whatsoever. He is relatable to so many men. You can see them today. People post those memes ironically today. He's literally me. Now, of course, it's ironic, but I truly believe that these men relate to him. And when you actually dive into why they relate to him, it goes from very edgy to sad instantly. And you can see they both fall into this trap. And that's what I'm going to be covering today. Why people relate to Patrick Bateman. And we're also going to cover the traps, the pitfalls, both Patrick Bateman and the people who relate to him fall for, and how to overcome it. It is actually very important.
So interesting to me, I've met guys who say like, oh, you were in American Psycho, I think that movie's so cool. Man, I am Patrick Bateman. I'm like, wow, you're a big dork. If you're gonna say I am Patrick Bateman, then A, you didn't get the movie. 'Cause above and beyond the fact that he's a serial killer, he's not very cool. So are you saying you're a dork or a serial killer? Or both?
So let's get started. Why is Patrick Bateman relatable? Are you evil? Are you a cannibal? Are you a psychopath? What's wrong with you? Well, you're not evil for starters, and you're not a psychopath. You're not a cannibal. You're not evil. The reason why he is so relatable is because he's very realistic. When you examine him as a character, he's extremely logical, and he's actually very dedicated. But sadly, he is misguided, and it encapsulates that spirit of these young men. They are very logical, they work really hard, but they're getting some important information wrong. And I'll tell you why. So let's take a man. He's a social outcast, he's a bit awkward, and he has not been properly socialized. But he wants to fit in.
I want to fit in.
He wants to be popular. So what does he do? How does he achieve that? He wants to gain status, he wants to gain recognition, he wants to gain love, he wants to gain that attention from both men and women. How does he do it? Well, logically speaking, what would you do? One of the things you could do is look at the people at the top. Look at the people at the top of the hierarchy. Look at the people who are at the top of your social groups. What do they have? What are they doing? And you might come to the conclusion that they are handsome, beautiful people. They are also rich. They're physically fit. They're strong. They're charming. And that is what Patrick Bateman copies. That is what he replicates. This is the logical conclusion from an outside perspective. They have those things, and I don't. So that must be why they're so popular and they fit in. It's completely logical, and I don't blame him, and I don't blame people who fall for this trap. It's a very easy trap to fall into, but it does not make it true, and it is not the full truth. It's logical given the information they have, but they don't have access to the full picture. So when you see this character embody much of that, come to those exact same conclusions these young men are coming to, of course he would be so popular. And then we combine that with his true side. It's evil, sadistic, hateful, insecure. And now you have a character that people can truly relate to. Because at the end of the day, all of this is a facade. Nothing truly deep down inside of their hearts, their character, who they are as a person, has changed. And they are not accepted by society. So they have to hide it, have to hide all of those evil, bitter, disgusting things like Patrick Bateman. Now, you might not be all of those things or have them as severely as he does, but I would still say you are Patrick Bateman. You aren't wrong about it. Even if you're being ironic, I think a part of you is actually speaking up. You're hiding it under a layer of irony, but you actually truly believe that you are like him in so many ways. You truly relate to him. You are sold this idea that you should strive for these superficial things that will not actually get you the love, the attention, the things you need. Now, let's look at Patrick Bateman, for example. You strive for many of these things that are actually good. Like, don't get me wrong. There is nothing wrong with being physically fit, healthy, learning to be charming, gaining status and wealth. There is nothing wrong with those things, but that shouldn't be the end-all be-all, and it's not going to get you what you want. It's going to be good that you get those things, and it may even help, but it's not going to get you what you actually need. I mean, let's pretend, for example, Patrick Bateman is a real person right now.
Goes out with that loser Patrick Bateman. What a dork.
He is rich, charming, popular with the women, very handsome, very strong. He has the chiseled abs, a great job, higher status. He would be incredibly famous if he was discovered on social media. Men would literally look up to him, and he would be very respected. People would look up to him like they do Andrew Tate. He would be very respected and very loved today if he was a real person. Given the things we know about him, of course, we don't know that he's a cannibal underneath or any of those other things. He would literally be the next Andrew Tate, and he would be the king of black pillars. Not red pillars, black pillars. I can imagine him right now. He would be saying things like, today we're going to be talking about why you need a skincare routine. Friendly reminder, women don't actually care about who you are. Looks decides everything. 80% of men are swiped left on Tinder. Not because they have the wrong personality, but because of how they look. If you are just attractive, that is all you need. The money, the wealth, the skincare routine, the chiseled abs, that's all you need to be successful in life and to be respected by your peers. That's literally what he would be saying, and that would perfectly fit what the black pillars are saying right now. All they care about is looks. They're stuck online the entire time. All they use is Tinder. They don't actually go out and meet people. I mean, you don't have to become a black pillar. It's just social media is the problem. That's literally it. It's that simple. You don't have to become a black pillar. You don't need to be doing all these things. I've seen very ugly guys with very attractive women. And the reality of the situation is you can't actually judge their relationship simply on how one man is to his girlfriend. You don't know their personality traits. You don't know their insecurities. You don't know why they're actually with each other. You don't know how the relationship is going. There is so much more to it than that. Looks gets your foot in the door. That's about it. But to give a rundown for people who don't know it, the blue pill says all you need is personality. Just be yourself. The red pill is about you just need confidence. You need to be good with women. You need to raise your status. But the black pillars believe that none of those things matter. It's all looks. That's why there is so much of this looks maxing and this memeable language today, like mewing and mogging. However, this is a trap. I call it a trap for a reason, and it's one that can easily be bought. I think American Psycho is extremely well done. It shows that none of these things actually make you happy. It does not actually get you what you want. It does not work, and you're just going to end up alone. But hey, at least you're handsome. You can imagine yourself as this pearl that is beautiful and shining, that's great, that has yet to be discovered. Better than being ugly and alone, I guess, right? But there are some aspects of truth that can actually be found in all of these ideologies. To simply take one as a trap, I'm personally an extremely hopeful person. And I'm also very hopeful for other people who did not win the genetic lottery. You don't need to be a 10 out of 10 mogger to have the ladies fall in love with you. And you also don't need to be a 10 out of 10 lady to have men fall in love with you. I'll tell you this, I have fallen in love with many women. And when you are in love with them, you think that they are the most beautiful woman in the world. I'm not joking. She is the most beautiful lady I've ever laid my eyes on. I can't imagine not marrying her. To be marrying anyone else, that's to be giving up the best person in the world. Nobody else will do. That's what you have in your mind. That's how you see these people. There is nobody else like her in the world. And guess what? Both men and women have this. It's very common. And in retrospect, looking back at these ladies, they're actually very average or slightly above average. Sure, they're pretty, but they're no models, not to be disrespectful. That's something that these philosophies, these people, don't actually tell you about. And I find it a very beautiful thing for two reasons. It's great for both the adorer and the adored. The adorer is able to be with someone they think is absolutely beautiful, like nobody else. They have fallen in love. And the person who's adored, well, maybe they could be just slightly above average. But in the eyes of the adored, they're amazing. So at the end of the day, maybe you're not going to be with the most beautiful person in the world, but maybe in your own eyes, they could be extremely beautiful. I don't think anybody would logically have a problem with that. I mean, if I said today, you're going to marry a woman or a man, and you're going to think that they're the most beautiful person in the world, but the reality is, they're average, or maybe slightly above average, but you think that they're extremely beautiful. How would that make you feel? You would be very happy. Who cares what other people think? You're with the person you love. You're with the person you think is so beautiful. You wouldn't trade them for anyone else. And we're not even talking about personality. I've met many women, and sometimes they are average looking, but they have an amazing personality. They have great interests. And it isn't something I can control, but the image of them in my mind, it changes and they become more beautiful. It's not something I can control, and I'm speaking from experience here. I have fallen for average looking women, but they had great personality traits. They had something special about them, and their outward appearance to me changed. And I tell you, I guarantee it, if you're a guy, this exact same thing will happen for women towards you. And the opposite can be true. I have met many beautiful women, and they have horrible personalities. They're extremely entitled, they're smug, they ruin it for me. And after the experience, they don't look the same in my mind. They look much less attractive. And I find this to be an extremely beautiful, hopeful thing. You will find a person who thinks you are an extremely attractive individual, super handsome, and you will be with someone you think is absolutely beautiful. And also another issue is we live in a very hedonistic society. With these red pill communities, they focus on just getting laid by so many women. I think that's an issue, and it also makes it harder for some men. If you're able to lower that bar from, I need to get laid by 100 women, to simply, I need to find one good woman that is good and attractive and somebody I can marry and be happy with, that's a much easier bar to have. You don't need to get laid by all these women. Having a higher body count doesn't increase your value. And again, a lot of these traps, they can be seen in Patrick Bateman. And it's very sad, and I understand why many men relate to him. They're falling for the same traps. They're in similar situations, and they're going to the same places. And once they reach that destination, it's not going to be fun. They're going to be alone. It's not going to be a happy ending, just like it was in American Psycho. But don't worry, I believe in you. Forget that nonsense. Sure, work and improve on yourself, but just go out, get real-world experience. Forget Tinder, forget these online dating apps. Go to social groups, connect with people, have real relationships. That will really change your perspective on these things, and you'll just be happier. I think our solution is to turn off the TV. And that's the end of this video. I hope you have a good one.